Do you want to speak English naturally?
The alarm on my phone buzzed at 5:30 a.m., pulling me from a deep sleep. I stretched my arms and looked out the window of my hotel room. The sky was still dark, painted with shades of deep purple and orange. Today was going to be special. My first full day exploring Dubai, a city I had dreamed about for years. I got dressed quickly, putting on comfortable clothes and my favorite sneakers. The hotel lobby was quiet, with only a few early risers sitting in the breakfast area. I grabbed a quick coffee and a croissant before heading outside. The air was surprisingly cool at this hour, a pleasant change from the heat I had experienced when I arrived yesterday afternoon. My first destination was Dubai Marina. I had read online that watching the sunrise there was an unforgettable experience, and I wanted to see it for myself. I called a taxi, and within 15 minutes, I was standing on the Marina walkway. The water was calm and dark, reflecting the lights from the surrounding skyscrapers like a giant mirror. As I walked along the promenade, I noticed a few joggers passing by and some fishermen preparing their equipment for the day. The towers around me were magnificent, sleek, modern buildings that seemed to touch the clouds. I found a bench near the water and sat down, waiting for the sun to appear. Slowly, the sky began to change. The darkness faded, replaced by soft shades of pink and gold. Then, like magic, the first rays of sunlight broke through the horizon. The entire marina was bathed in warm, golden light. The glass facades of the buildings sparkled, and the water shimmered with 1,000 tiny reflections. I took several photos, but I knew no picture could truly capture the beauty of that moment. After spending about an hour at the marina, I decided it was time to move on. My stomach was starting to remind me that a croissant wasn't enough breakfast. I walked toward a small cafe I had spotted earlier and ordered a traditional Arabic breakfast: labna, olives, fresh bread, and mint tea. The food was delicious and gave me the energy I needed for the adventures ahead. By 8:30 a.m., I was ready for my next stop, the Gold Souk in Dira. I had heard stories about this famous market, where gold jewelry filled every shop window and bargaining was an art form. I took the metro, which was surprisingly modern and efficient. The train glided smoothly through the city, and I enjoyed watching the landscape change from futuristic skyscrapers to older, more traditional neighborhoods. When I arrived at the souk, I was immediately overwhelmed by the atmosphere. The narrow alleys were lined with shops, each one displaying incredible amounts of gold: necklaces, bracelets, rings, and even gold-covered shoes. The shopkeepers stood outside their stores, calling out to passersby in different languages, inviting them to come inside and look around. I wandered through the souk, fascinated by everything I saw. In one shop, I stopped to admire a beautiful necklace with intricate designs. The shopkeeper, a friendly man with a warm smile, explained that it was handmade and inspired by traditional Emirati patterns. He offered me tea and started telling me stories about Dubai's history and how the city had transformed from a small trading port to a global metropolis. "Dubai has always been about trade," he said, pouring mint tea into a small glass. "My grandfather sold pearls here before oil was discovered. Now we sell gold, but the spirit of trade remains the same." I listened to his stories while sipping the sweet tea. Even though I didn't buy anything, the prices were way beyond my budget. I appreciated his hospitality and the glimpse into the city's past. After leaving the gold souk, I walked to the nearby spice souk. The contrast was striking. Instead of glittering gold, I was surrounded by vibrant colors and powerful aromas. Sacks filled with saffron, cardamom, cinnamon, and dozens of other spices lined the pathways. The smell was intoxicating, a mixture of sweet, spicy, and earthy scents that made my senses come alive. I bought some saffron and dried rose petals as souvenirs, carefully wrapped in paper by an elderly vendor who insisted on giving me extra as a gift for a visitor. His kindness touched my heart and reminded me that despite Dubai's modern facade, the traditional hospitality of the region was still very much alive. By noon, the temperature had risen significantly. The sun was blazing, and I could feel the heat radiating from the pavement. I decided to escape to an indoor attraction, the Dubai Museum, located in the Al Fahidi Fort. This historic building, dating back to 1787, was the oldest existing structure in Dubai. Inside, the museum was cool and dimly lit. I walked through exhibits that showcased life in Dubai before the oil boom, displays of traditional Bedouin homes, pearl diving equipment, and old trading vessels. Life-size dioramas showed scenes from daily life, women cooking, men working in the souks, and children playing in the streets. It was fascinating to see how much the city had changed in just a few decades. One exhibit particularly caught my attention. It showed the evolution of Dubai's skyline through the years, from a modest collection of low buildings to the forest of skyscrapers that exists today. The transformation was almost unbelievable, a testament to human ambition and vision. After spending about 2 hours at the museum, I was ready for lunch. I walked to a nearby restaurant in the Al Fahidi historical neighborhood, a charming area with restored wind tower houses and narrow lanes. I ordered shawarma and fresh juice, eating slowly while watching tourists and locals pass by. In the afternoon, I headed to downtown Dubai, the heart of the modern city. My main goal was to see the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. As I approached it, I had to tilt my head back to see the top. It seemed impossible that humans had built something so tall. The area around the Burj Khalifa was bustling with activity. The Dubai Mall, one of the largest shopping centers in the world, was right next door. I walked inside, not to shop, but to explore. The mall was like a city within a city. It had an aquarium, an ice rink, hundreds of stores, and countless restaurants. I stood in front of the enormous aquarium for almost 20 minutes, watching sharks and rays glide gracefully through the water. Children pressed their faces against the glass, pointing excitedly at the fish. It was surreal to be watching marine life in the middle of a desert city. As evening approached, I made my way back outside to wait for the Dubai Fountain Show. This spectacular display took place on the Burj Khalifa Lake, and I had been told it was a must-see. I found a good spot along the waterfront and waited with hundreds of other people. At exactly 6 p.m., the music started. Suddenly, water jets shot up into the air, choreographed perfectly with the music. The fountains danced, sometimes gentle and flowing, sometimes powerful and dramatic. Colored lights illuminated the water, creating a magical display. The show lasted about 5 minutes, but it felt like time had stopped. When it ended, everyone applauded, and I found myself smiling widely. After the fountain show, I decided to spend my final hours in Dubai at Jumeirah Beach. I took a taxi to the public beach area and walked barefoot on the sand. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink once again. In the distance, I could see the silhouette of the Burj Al Arab, the iconic sail-shaped hotel that had become a symbol of Dubai. I sat on the beach, feeling the warm sand between my toes and listening to the gentle sound of waves. Families were having picnics, children were building sandcastles, and couples were walking hand in hand along the shore. Despite being in one of the world's most modern cities, this moment felt timeless and peaceful. As darkness fell, I walked along the beach promenade, enjoying the cool evening breeze. Food stalls were setting up, offering everything from traditional Arabic snacks to international cuisine. I bought some fresh fruit and continued walking, not wanting the day to end. Finally, around 9 p.m., I decided it was time to head back to my hotel. I was exhausted, but incredibly happy. In just one day, I had experienced so many different sides of Dubai, from the traditional souks to the modern skyscrapers, from the rich history to the cutting-edge architecture, from the quiet morning at the Marina to the bustling evening at the beach. As I sat in the taxi, watching the city lights flash by, I reflected on everything I had seen and experienced. Dubai was more than just tall buildings and luxury hotels. It was a place where old and new coexisted, where tradition met innovation, and where people from around the world came together. It was a city of contrasts and possibilities, a place that challenged my expectations and opened my eyes to new perspectives. I knew that one day wasn't enough to truly know Dubai, but it was enough to fall in love with it. As I drifted off to sleep that night, I was already planning my next visit, already dreaming of the adventures that awaited me in this extraordinary city.